Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a first impression follow-up video. So I'm going to tell you my full review on a bunch of products that I previously used in first impressions, give you an overview, tell you if I think they're worth it or if I think you should skip. If you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe, and let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to start off with foundation because I have a lot in front of me and I'm going to try to move quickly through this. Starting off with the Stay Naked Urban Decay Weightless Liquid Foundation. I have the shade 41NN is what works for me best. I actually really like this foundation. I did a first impression with it. You can build it up to full coverage if you do 2 layers, or you can keep it a kind of light, medium, more natural coverage. I would say that this is really more of a natural finish. If you have a ton to cover up, you probably wouldn't like this because you're gonna have to really layer it to get that coverage. Actually, this is one of the only foundations I can use and not set it. To me, this is like a matte, but it's not like dry down double wear matte. It's kind of like a fresh matte, if that makes sense, a skin-like matte. So I actually really like this for more natural days. I don't really prefer this for like full glam. This is pretty long wearing. Again, even if you don't set it, I find that it just hangs on, so I think that's why I like it. But to me, it's not super smoothing. It's not gonna give you like that, what is the word? Airbrushed full cake face. To me, this is more of like an everyday, if you just kind of want something that's gonna look skin-like on your skin. It has a matte texture, again, it's matte, but it's not like double wear, dried down kind of thing. So I actually really like it. I just don't like it for full glam. Now, a foundation I actually like more so for full glam, but I don't find is as long wearing, is the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue foundation. I have the shade 116. This one can look a little bit heavy in my opinion. It's more of a full coverage though. I would say like this is more of a full glam kind of foundation. Absolutely have to set this. I don't necessarily love this, to be honest, just on my skin. It just kind of gunks up, I feel like, right here, and it just gets really kind of heavy on the skin. I would say the coverage is medium buildable to full, but it's definitely more coverage than that Urban Decay. The shade is fine, but I don't love it. For me, I just feel like it enhances texture around my pore area. So this one is okay, but it's not really impressing me. So this foundation is impressing me, but I feel like you have to tweak it to work with it. This is the ABH Luminous Foundation. So I have the shade 270C, and I actually hate it. It's like green yellow. I might take it in store and exchange it. This foundation is probably one of the most dewy foundations that I have. This foundation does wear well, especially for being super dewy if you use the right products. I find that I get insanely dewy in the T-zone with this, so I would opt for a matte primer. Also, I would use like Urban Decay All-Nighter, something like a long-lasting setting spray. I would not use a dewy setting spray with this, and I would make sure to powder this heavily. I do like how this looks on the skin. It is really dewy, very luminous. It's just not as long wearing as like the Double Wear or the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear. Those are like the longest wearing foundations I own. This is more of like a 7 or 8 hours, and I'm gonna be really, really greasy in the center of my face. So I definitely have to touch up with this. So I wouldn't wear this again for a long period of time. I just think that's how it is. Most luminous foundations, they're just not gonna get me through the day. So they look pretty, but I wouldn't wear this for like a wedding or something like that. But I do like it. It doesn't enhance my texture, it doesn't break up, it just gets extremely, extremely dewy. I find that the coverage is nice. I would say a medium on it. I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I have so much to cover. It built up nicely. More coverage on this than the Urban Decay in my opinion. So I feel like nobody would really be upset with the coverage unless you have like really like a lot of redness or acne scarring, or you really need that full coverage. I feel like this is a good medium buildable coverage. So next I want to talk about the new Pat McGrath foundation. So this one is quite unique. It's very, very thin in texture, and it's very thin on the face. Like it's runny, it's almost a watery feeling, and when you apply it, I feel like you can build this up to a medium, almost full coverage. You just have to use a lot. I would say 4 to 5 pumps and I can get a heavy medium coverage. It is beautiful, but it is really, really, really dewy after like a couple hours. Insanely dewy, almost to the point of being greasy, especially on my T-zone. I don't notice it breaking up again. It kind of wears very similar to the ABH, but this one just takes a little bit longer and then the dewiness really comes through. For me, I think I want to try to mix this with like a double wear and see if I can get the best of both worlds. I do like it. Do I think it's blowing my mind for the price? Not really. It's beautiful, but again, if you had to tell me like I could have this or my L'Oreal Infallible, I want my Infallible. I like something that's long wear. So I think this is beautiful for photos or, you know, really dewy look, but I just don't know if the longevity is there, and it has alcohol high up on it, which I know the L'Oreal does as well, but that's just something to note. So I do like this, but I'm not blown away, especially for the price. I like it, but it's not like anything revolutionary. So the last foundation I have to talk about is the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover Full Coverage Protective Makeup. So I do like this. This is very similar to IT Cosmetics CC creams in my opinion, the way that it feels. It's quite thick. It has a good medium to full coverage. This is one you could use for, you know, SPF and makeup as well. I like it. It just, after a while, I feel like it gets gunky around my pore area. Again, I'm very finicky. My biggest issue really is I have pores right here. No amount of skincare can get rid of it. It just is the way it is. And when I talk, you can see the creasing right here and they just kind of gunk up. This one does that to me a little bit. It's not my favorite. I don't dislike it, but it's not, again, my L'Oreal or my Fit Cover powder. So I think this is a good staple for a lot of people. If you want a affordable, you want good coverage, and you want something that's going to give you some SPF, I think you'll like this. But again, I wouldn't opt for this for full, you know, full glam. I'm just very picky in that way, and I would go for my L'Oreal. Moving on to concealers, I have 4. I was gonna say 3, I have 4. Starting out with the Urban Decay Naked Stay Naked Correcting Concealer. I have the shade 20 NN. Honestly, you guys, I just didn't love this. I didn't think it had much coverage. I usually don't have a ton to cover, but this coverage, it kind of reminds me of like the Fenty Beauty one. It's just so light. I want a little bit more oomph. The shade is too light for me, so that's 100%, but I just wasn't wowed by this. It's okay. I feel like for every day, if you just want to kind of throw something on and go. But if you're asking me like, do I love it? Do I reach for it? I really just don't. Next up, I have the Smashbox Studio Skin Flawless 24-Hour Concealer. I actually really like this. This is a very thin formula, very similar to like the Jeffree Star Magic Concealer. It's very, very thin and liquidy, but it's really smoothing, and that's something I appreciate about it. It's a good medium coverage. It covers what I need it to cover, and I like that it really smooths out my pores. If I really want to highlight the center of the face, this would be a good one because it doesn't gunk up at all, and I think it's because it is so thin. So I really like this staple one. I would use this for full glam, or I would also use this for every day. This is one that I really like, and I'm surprised by that just because I've been so stuck on my few concealers, but this one really surprised me. I would also use this one because it is quite light to highlight down the center of my face, but this one provides definitely more coverage than the Urban Decay, and you can build this up to full glam. A concealer that I think a lot of you would really enjoy is this Nabla Close Up Full Smooth Coverage Concealer. I have the shade Cream Beige. This one, honest to God, is like a dupe for Shape Tape. It really is. It's creamy, it's got the coverage. It's a little bit more hydrating than the Shape Tape. I see a lot of people say they can't get on with the Shape Tape because it's drying. This one is even more hydrating and creamy. I really like this a lot. This would be a full glam for sure. It's just really creamy and great coverage. I feel like you could use this all over your face. I really like this. This one shocked me just because it really reminded me of the Shape Tape, but just even more hydrating. The last concealer I wanted to mention is from J-Cat Beauty. This is the Stay Assurance Concealer, and I have the shade Buff. This one is good coverage. I think a lot of people would like the coverage on this. The only thing is it's not as hydrating as the Nabla. It's kind of like a whipped formula. This reminds me of the Jouer Essential High Coverage Concealer. It's got that whipped kind of almost powder finish when you apply it. It's just like a whipped moussey texture, but with high coverage. So for the price, I think it's okay. I like it, but it's not gonna beat out my favorites. I have a couple setting sprays to talk about. The first one being the Tarte Stay Spray. This is honestly very similar to the Urban Decay All Nighter. It has a coconut scent to it. It's a little strong, but this really works. It locks your makeup down. Now it does have denatured alcohol in it, so just keep that in mind. So does the Urban Decay and a lot of them, but this really is nice for locking your makeup down. I demoed this on my arm in my first impression, and you could see that it really grabbed onto the shadows even more than the Huda Beauty Resting Boss Face, which No, that smell, absolutely not. This is a cucumber smell, so it's a little bit more refreshing. It is a little bit strong, but I like the spritzer on this, and this is, again, just very similar to an Urban Decay all-nighter, so I recommend this if you want to lock your makeup in. This next one I love, but I think they marketed it wrong. So this is the Catrice HD Active Performance Freezing Spray. Says long wear. I would say absolutely not. This is a dewy setting spray. This is very much like the ABH Dewy Set or the Pixie Glow Mist. This gives you hydration. It's so pretty. When I demoed this, I immediately fell in love with the way my skin looked because it gave me like a hydration, especially on my forehead area. So I think it's cooling and refreshing like they say, but I don't know why they're saying it's a freezing spray or it's long wear. It's not long wear. This is a hydrating, melt your powders in, give you a little bit of a glow. I love it, but just know what it is before you buy it. Next up, I have a few palettes to talk about, starting off with the ColourPop Honey palette. I used this in a video I can link down below. And this is a beautiful palette. It is very yellow, so just know that you're gonna get kind of the same yellow looks out of it. I wish they would have added 1 or 2 deeper shades because this one is the darkest shade and it's kind of hard to build up. For me, this one excels because of these 3 shades right here. They're really pretty, just like kind of blow it out in your crease. It's a beautiful summer look. And then the shimmers in here are really beautiful too, like golds, but with a green or yellow twist. Love this. The price is $12. Highly recommend. I think it blends beautifully. You just have to know that you're going to get a yellow look out of this. Another palette that I used and I am absolutely floored by, this is the Kaleidos Makeup Futurism Astro Pink palette. These shadows are incredible. I want to try the other ones. They have a couple more palettes and they released some more and I think they're on the way. These blended so beautifully. Oh my gosh, look at these shades. The metallics in here seriously are some of the most blinding, beautiful metallics I've tried in a long time. There's not kick up in the pan. The mattes blend beautifully. They're pigmented. I had no patchiness. I think these are great. I cannot wait for just more releases. Again, they did release 2 new palettes that were like, one was like aqua teal and the other one was kind of like neon yellows and stuff like that. And I think they're on the way to me, so I'll be playing with those. But if you were kind of eyeing these, this brand is incredible. I have 2 face palettes to talk about, and the first one I am absolutely in love with. And this is the Ofra Cosmetics Island Time palette. So in here you get 4 blushes and a highlighter. I think this is so beautiful. The blushes in here are so beautiful. I will say this is a little bit pricey. I think it's like $49. You can use BabsBeauty to save 20%. It used to be 30, but now it's 20%. So that would drop it down to 40 bucks. I think these blushes are so pretty, specifically this one and this one. They're so pretty. I think people are intimidated, but I use them in my videos and I've been using them off camera, and a lot of people are like, what are you wearing? When I was wearing this one, which is, I think it's called Punch. These are so pretty. The only thing I'm not loving is this peachy highlight. I wish that they would have had another blush, or you got to choose the highlight you could put in there. But honestly, I want to reach for these blushes. Like, I keep wanting to reach for them. They blend beautifully and they just liven up your cheeks. So I absolutely 100% recommend this. I know it's a little pricey, but if you're a blush fiend, I think you'll get a lot of use out of it. The next palette is the Dominique Cosmetics Prisma Glow palette. This one I'm a little bit iffy because this gold and rose gold are just too dark for me. So it's a little bit iffy because I really use the skin gloss and the pink the most. I do love the pink. It's that kind of powdery formula, and then when you really kind of blend it in, you get that pink reflex. So I do love the pink, and I use a skin gloss, but I can't use those two. They're just too deep for me. So it's a little bit like I can only use half the palette. I do think it's beautiful. I just wish that maybe like the gold was a little bit lighter, but again, I know everybody's skin tone is different. So just know that really whatever skin tone you are, I feel like you're not gonna be able to use every single shade in here, but I do like it. So I must have totally spaced out because I have 2 more face palettes. I thought I only had 2, but I have 4. So this one is the Lorac Hustle and Glow Baked and Bronze Highlight palette. I love this palette, absolutely love. These 2 shades are worth it for me alone. I think the packaging is a little bit they could have done a better job on that. Really would have liked a mirror, would have liked this to be a little bit thinner, but honestly you guys, these blend incredibly. They're so pretty. They're just easy to work with and they're beautiful tones. The highlighter is very natural. You can definitely see it. It's not like non-existent, but it's just more of a natural, everyday kind of look. This is an effortless palette. I feel like you could use these on your eyes, this on your eyes. This is like a nice kind of shimmery copper bronzer. So I absolutely love this. I highly recommend. Seriously, like this is one of my favorite bronzers as of lately, and I just like mixing all of it together. A palette that just didn't work for me was the Natasha Denona Tan Bronze and Glow palette. A lot of people really raved about this palette. For me, I don't love the bronzer. I don't really love the color, so it's kind of like a, okay, for me, like, it's a little red toned. It's not my favorite. And then this shade is like a really shimmery, I think it's like a highlighter, but it's too dark for me to use as a highlight. And then the cream is a little bit dark. And then this is like pretty, you know, it's like a pretty gold highlight, but it's nothing I don't have in other kind of compacts. I know a lot of people rave about this. I much prefer her blush, what is it, Bloom palette. This is just kind of like a, I don't love the bronzer and the highlight's a little deep for me. If you have a deeper skin tone, you might like it, but I don't use really anything in here that's like blowing my mind. So for me, this is kind of like it's okay, but with everything else I have, I'm not reaching for it. I have a couple mascaras to talk about and I love both of them. So starting out with the BH Cosmetics Stellar Lash, I really like this mascara. This is super affordable. I'm gonna give you a close-up of the wand. It kind of has a Too Faced Better Than Sex vibe to it, but it is much lighter, like just the handle and everything. Can I get a close-up? There we go. And I find this really lengthens the lash. So I really like this. This reminds me kind of the Milani Dangerous Lengths, which is one of my favorites as well. So this is gonna stay top drawer and it's really affordable. The mascara that really shocked me that I actually really like is the Too Faced Damn Girl Mascara. This is like a weighty, really cool packaging, but I didn't love the Better Than Sex. It's okay, but it didn't really do much for my lashes. When I saw this, I thought, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a clumpy mess because it's just so thick. It's a really big. This is incredible. It makes my lashes and my, well, I guess my lashes. It makes my lashes voluminous, but also like lengthens them. This does more for my little baby lashes than any other mascara, so it's a little bit difficult to work with because it is such a big wand, but I really like it. If you are willing to overlook the clumpiness that you can get or kind of just finagle with it a little bit, it really gives your lashes like damn girl kind of look. So I really like this. This is top drawer as well. So I have a highlighter from Tarte I wanted to mention. This is the Tarte Lit Chrome Paint Highlighter. They just have one shade right now, which I think is a nice, almost universal. It could be a little bit dark if you're super fair. It looks darker in the pan, but when you blend it out, it's like a nice gold sheen. So I can't really show you a close-up of it because it's loose, and then you have to kind of like buff it in. But it buffs in so beautifully. Look at the reflection on this. It can be a little bit messy. Again, you're gonna have to overlook some of these things because it is messy, and a little bit goes a long way. I feel like you really wanna take a little bit and you wanna really buff it into the skin, and then you're gonna get that high shine. I actually really, really like this. I think it's beautiful. It doesn't leave a big cast on my skin. It wears beautifully. I kind of want them to come out with more shades. This is so much product, like it's huge. You're never gonna go through this, but I really just think it's beautiful. I think if you're looking for like a blinding gold, just like everyday highlighter, I think you'd really like this. Next, I wanna touch on the new Pat McGrath products. I have the Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Primer. First of all, the packaging is absolutely cheap. I mean, this feels like there's nothing in it. The label's peeling off. I just think they could have done way better for the price point. This reminds me of the Dior Backstage Primer. It's a nice, just okay primer. I did notice that I got really greasy in the T-zone with this after like a few hours, like insanely greasy, whether I was wearing the Pat McGrath foundation or any other foundation. So it's definitely not for people with oily skin. It's just okay. It's like a gel texture kind of. It has a little bit of a silicone slip to it. I just didn't notice anything really groundbreaking, and for the packaging to be so cheap and also for just not really making my makeup look any better or wear any better, I'm gonna return this. In terms of the powder, I do like it, but again, it's not blowing me away. And I think for the price point, when you hype something up so much and you charge crazy amounts of money, I want something that's gonna change my makeup routine. It's gonna make me look flawless, poreless, or it's really gonna brighten or smooth. This is a nice powder, but it's just like everything else. It's like my Jeffree Star powder. It's like, I don't know, it's very finely milled. So I guess that's something to, you know, take note of, but I don't notice that it does anything different for me than, again, my Jeffree Star, Glossier Wowder, really any of them. I have the shade Light 1. I think it's okay, but for the price, it's just not wowing me, and I can't justify spending, you know, $50, $60 on a powder, especially for as little as you get, that doesn't really change my makeup routine. So last up, I have some lip products I want to talk to you guys about. Starting off with the Clé de Peau. These are the Radiant Liquid Rouge. So they have a shine formula, and then they have a matte formula. So the shine, these are essentially really pigmented lip glosses. This is the shade 1 Sepia. And they really are just nicely pigmented lip glosses. They're very pretty. They have a little bit of a tack to them, kind of like a MAC lip gloss, maybe a little bit less sticky than that, but they are kind of tacky if you don't like that, quite thick. The packaging is really pretty. They do have that Clé de Peau smell, which I don't love. It's like the high-end kind of floral scent, but they have some pretty shades. If you're looking for a pigmented gloss that's gonna hang on for a while, you might enjoy these. I actually really like the matte ones more. This is the shade 104 Gentle Dream. And when I swatched these at first, I thought, ooh, those are kind of sheer. They looked a little bit just dry, but wearing them on the lips, they're invisible on the lips. They are so nice. I mean, it's so thin in texture. It's almost like a powdery, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a whipped powder on your lips. I really love these. I don't notice the scent as much on the matte ones either, and they wear beautifully and they don't gunk up because they are so thin. You're not gonna get that kind of line in the center. So I really like this. My favorite shade is Cream Crush. I can link it down below. But if I had to choose, I like the matte more, but I think they're both good. The smell on the, or the fragrance on the shiny ones, I feel like it lingers and it kind of bothers me. A gloss that I would highly recommend to you guys, specifically this color, these are the new Ofra glosses and they are really nice. They're not super thick. They feel almost like the Fenty Beauty ones. They're so comfortable and they smell really nice. My favorite is Apricot Dream. It's it's almost like MAC, what is it? Oyster Girl. MAC Oyster Girl, but an apricot kind of twist on it. It really does make your lips look so juicy and plump, and they feel really nice on the lips. And then I also really like Cherry Mocha. This one's a little bit more pigmented. You can see, well, quite a bit more pigmented. So they have all different finishes, but I honestly think the price on this is good. I think they're like $14 and you can use 20% off. So they're like 10 bucks. They have a ton of shades, so just look up swatches because some of them are more sheer than others. But I really, really like these. If you want that wet, juicy look, I think you'd really enjoy these. And then lastly, I have a couple products from Lunar Beauty, starting off with the liquid lipstick. If you like a satin, like the ColourPop satin, but even more lightweight, I think you'd really like this. I really hope he comes out with more shades. It's quite thin in formula and it's just comfortable. It doesn't dry down and like kind of like make your lips dry up. This really is comfortable, so you're gonna need to reapply it after, you know, 5 or 6 hours, but it reapplies beautifully. I love the scent on it. I love the packaging. I just wish there was more shades, and I think there will be, you know, in time. And then I also really like the lip gloss in the shade Dreamy. This smells, oh my God, it smells so good. This is a really sheer, wet looking gloss. You can see right there, it's so pretty. It's very juicy and wet. This reminds me of the Dominique Cosmetics glosses. They really smell incredible and they have that kind of just like milky, wet look. So it's really pretty. Again, I can't wait for more shades, but I like both of these products. So that is everything for my first impression follow-up. I hope this helped you guys out. If I didn't include a product, maybe I forgot it or I'm still testing it and I don't know my full thoughts yet. So if you have any questions, leave them down below. Let me know down below. Have you tried any of this, or what are you most excited to try? Has there been any that you're like, no, and they've been a miss, or some that you really love? Thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.